The galaxy had known peace for 3,000 years. The Collective, a union of 47 species, maintained order through diplomacy and trade. Humanity had joined this great alliance only 60 years ago. They were considered the youngest species, the newcomers who still had much to learn. The older races looked at humans with a mixture of curiosity and pity. These creatures from the third planet of a small yellow star were emotional, short-lived, and prone to internal conflicts. But they were also creative, adaptable, and surprisingly friendly. They were the opposite of humans. They were tall, gray-skinned beings with 4 arms and eyes that glowed a soft blue. Their civilization was 8,000 years old. They considered themselves the true rulers of the galaxy, even though the Collective operated on principles of equality. They had never liked humanity. They saw these newcomers as pests, as insects that had somehow gained the ability to travel between stars. When humanity established a colony on 442b, a world that had claimed but never settled, the ancient race decided to teach these young creatures a lesson they would never forget. New Haven was the name humans gave to their colony. 12 million people lived there. Families had been born on that world. Children played in parks under an alien sky. Scientists studied the unique plant life. Artists painted landscapes that no human eye had ever seen before. It was a peaceful place, a testament to humanity's desire to explore and create rather than conquer and destroy. The fleet arrived without warning on a quiet morning. 30 warships emerged from faster-than-light travel directly above New Haven's capital city. The colony had no military presence. There were no weapons capable of fighting starships. The people looked up at the sky and saw death descending upon them. Admiral or commanded the fleet. He was 700 years old, a veteran of conflicts that humans could not even imagine. He looked down at the human colony with disgust in his 4 eyes. These creatures had dared to settle on a world that belonged to the Empire. They had ignored warnings. They had shown disrespect. Now they would pay the price. The bombardment lasted 6 hours. Plasma fire rained from the sky like judgment from angry gods. Cities melted. Forests burned. Oceans boiled at the edges where the heat was greatest. They did not use their weapons to destroy infrastructure or military targets. They aimed at population centers. They targeted schools, hospitals, and residential areas. They wanted to kill as many humans as possible. When the bombardment ended, the ground troops descended. 10,000 soldiers landed on the scorched earth. Their orders were simple: find any survivors and eliminate them. Show no mercy. Leave no witnesses. The soldiers moved through the ruins with cold efficiency. They found bunkers where families had hidden. They found underground shelters where the wounded had crawled. They found children crying for parents who would never answer. None were spared. The news reached Earth 3 days later. A single emergency beacon had been launched before the colony's communication systems were destroyed. The message was brief. It contained coordinates, timestamps, and a final recording from Governor Sarah. Her voice was calm even as explosions echoed in the background. This is Governor of New Haven Colony. We are under attack by forces. They are killing everyone. There is no military justification for this. They are targeting civilians, children. This is genocide. Please remember us. Remember what they did here. The message ended with static. The United Earth Council convened within hours. Leaders from every nation gathered in Geneva. The chamber was silent as the recording played. Representatives who had argued about trade agreements and border disputes now sat in unified shock. Some wept openly. Others stared at nothing, their minds unable to process the scale of what had happened. President of the North American Federation was the first to speak. His voice was steady, but those who knew him could see the rage burning behind his eyes. 12 million of our people are dead. Men, women, and children, slaughtered because they wanted to build homes and raise families on a distant world. They have called this a warning. They have told the Collective that any species that challenges their dominance will face the same fate. He paused and looked around the chamber. I say they have made a terrible mistake. They have awakened something they do not understand. They have assumed that humanity would accept this, that we would mourn our dead and learn our place. They were wrong. The vote was unanimous. For the first time in human history, every nation on Earth agreed on a single course of action. Total war, no negotiations, no diplomacy, no mercy. The collective tried to intervene. Ambassador L of a species known for their wisdom and pacifism, traveled to Earth personally. She met with human leaders and pleaded for restraint. Violence will only breed more violence, she said. They are ancient and powerful. If you attack them, you will be destroyed. Please, let the collective handle this through proper channels. Justice can be achieved without more bloodshed. General James, the newly appointed commander of Earth's military forces, answered her. Ambassador, with respect, the collective has had 3 days to respond to the massacre of 12 million people. What has been done? The ambassador hesitated. We have formed a committee to investigate the incident. Sanctions are being discussed. Sanctions, repeated. A committee, 12 million corpses, and you offer us paperwork. These things take time, the ambassador insisted. They have powerful allies. We must proceed carefully. Leaned forward. Let me tell you something about humanity, ambassador. We are not a patient species. We do not wait for committees. We do not accept the murder of our children. You see us as young and weak. They saw us the same way. They thought they could kill us without consequence. They were wrong, and anyone who stands in our way will learn the same lesson. The ambassador left Earth that same day. Her report to the collective was grim. The humans were not going to listen to reason. They were preparing for war on a scale the galaxy had never seen. Earth's transformation was terrifying to witness. Factories that had produced consumer goods now manufactured weapons. Universities that had studied philosophy and art now researched new methods of destruction. Young people who had dreamed of becoming doctors and teachers now trained to become soldiers. The human war machine had been sleeping for centuries. The internal conflicts that had once plagued the species had been resolved through unity and cooperation. But the knowledge of war had never been forgotten. The strategies, the weapons, the raw brutality that humans were capable of had simply been stored away, waiting for a reason to return. That reason had arrived. Within 6 months, Earth had assembled a fleet of 2,000 warships. These were not elegant vessels designed for exploration. They were weapons platforms built for one purpose: destruction. Human engineers had studied technology and found weaknesses. Human scientists had developed new weapons that pushed the boundaries of physics. Human soldiers had trained in combat techniques that prioritized efficiency over honor. They learned of these preparations and laughed. 2,000 ships. Their empire had 10,000. These humans were building their own coffins. Admiral, or the same commander who had ordered the massacre, requested permission to destroy Earth before the humans could launch their pathetic fleet. His request was, the High Council wanted the humans to attack first. It would make the complete destruction of their species seem justified. Let them come, the Council decided. Let them throw themselves against our defenses. It will be a lesson to every young species in the galaxy. The human fleet launched on the anniversary of the massacre. President gave a final address to the species. 1 year ago, we lost 12 million brothers and sisters. They believed they could break our spirit. They believed they could make us afraid. Instead, they have united us in a way nothing else could have. Today, we answer their cruelty with justice. Not the justice of committees and sanctions. The justice of fire and steel. We go to war not because we hate our enemies, but because we loved our people. We go to war not for conquest, but for vengeance. And we will not stop until they understand what they awakened when they murdered our children. The first battle occurred in the system's outer reaches. A defense fleet of 300 ships met the human advance. The aliens expected a quick victory. They outnumbered the human attackers by 3 to 1. Their technology was proven over of warfare. The battle lasted 4 hours. The fleet was annihilated, not defeated, annihilated. Human tactics were unlike anything the galaxy had seen. They used suicide drones, soldiers who gave their lives willingly to deliver warheads into enemy ships. They jammed communications and created chaos. They boarded vessels and fought in close quarters with a ferocity that terrified their opponents. Admiral or received news of the defeat in his command center. For the first time in his 700 years, he felt fear. These humans were not behaving like any species he had encountered. They fought without concern for their own losses. They pressed attacks that should have been impossible. They turned every advantage against their enemies. The human fleet did not pause after their first victory. They pushed deeper into space. Colony after colony fell. Human soldiers showed the same mercy that had been shown to New Haven. None. The galaxy watched in horror. The ambassador who had pleaded for peace contacted Earth again. "This has gone too far. You are committing atrocities. You are becoming what you claim to hate." General responded with a single question. "How many children have we killed?" "Thousands," the ambassador replied. "Perhaps tens of thousands. When we reach 12 million, contact us again. Until then, do not lecture us about proportionality." The war lasted 3 years. The empire, which had stood for 8,000 years, collapsed in less than a decade of facing human vengeance. Their military was broken. Their colonies were occupied. They were surrounded by a human fleet that waited for unconditional surrender. The High Council, the same beings who had approved the massacre, knelt before human commanders. They begged for mercy. They offered reparations. They promised to change. General looked down at them with eyes that held no warmth. "You taught us a lesson at New Haven. You taught us that mercy is a weakness in this galaxy. You taught us that the only language the powerful understand is power. We learned that lesson well, perhaps too well." The terms of surrender were brutal. The military was disbanded entirely. Their weapons technology was confiscated. Their colonies were placed under human administration. There was required to build a memorial to every human killed at New Haven, with each name carved in stone. The galaxy never looked at humanity the same way again. The young species, the emotional creatures from the small yellow star, had proven something terrible. They had shown that their capacity for love was matched by their capacity for hate. Their creativity could be turned to destruction. Their adaptability made them the most dangerous species in existence. The collective amended its charter. A new article was added. It stated simply that unprovoked attacks on civilian populations would be considered an act of war against the entire alliance. The penalty would be immediate military response. No species tested this rule. The memory of what humanity had done to them was too fresh. The lesson had been learned. On the anniversary of the New Haven massacre, humanity observed a moment of silence. 12 million names were read across Earth and its colonies. People gathered to remember those who had been lost and to reflect on what that loss had cost them. President, now elderly and preparing to step down from office, gave a final address on the subject. "We became something terrible to avenge our dead. I do not know if we can ever truly go back to what we were before. The innocence we lost at New Haven, we also surrendered when we chose vengeance over peace. History will judge whether we were right or wrong. All I know is that our children sleep safely tonight, and that safety was purchased with blood. Never forget the price. Never forget what we are capable of when pushed too far." The memorial on the stands to this day. 12 million names carved in black stone. A reminder to the galaxy of what happens when mercy is abandoned. A warning that some wounds never heal. And a testament to a species that was underestimated once and will never be underestimated again.